Hello guys and welcome back to Windeby. This is episode 9 and I'm glad to be back in the game again. The reason why I have no time to produce another video is obvious. I don't want to mention it here because you're not here to hear about it again. You're here to see me having some fun with City Skylines, and man, I did have fun creating this episode. I love creating old towns, you know. That's a love of mine in City Skylines, and yeah, today I think I did my best to make this part of the old town look really cool. Hope you agree with me. Tell me in the comment section if you do so. So today's topic is the Monastery replays and yeah, the old town expansion. We will build 3 blocks with plazas and yeah, a lot of little character here in this part of the old town. And yeah, maybe I start with the monastery. I placed this Lucas school by Ernesto already, but he updated the building. And now it comes with building variations. And he included the Dresden roof textures by Titan. So now we can make this building fit in even more than it did before. Shout out to you, Ernesto, and Titan as well. I'm also creating those elevation differences here, a little terrace with some staircases to make the city's appearance much more interesting, because yeah, you don't have this depth of a city of an old town when you have everything flat. So now I wanted to give this a little bit more depth here. I also created many little plazas in this corner of the old town. That's mainly because in medieval cities many plazas were built to lighten the buildings due to the density in medieval housing methods. I also went in and did some preparation of the episode. I tagged some new stages and also monuments and fountains, 3 tags, which allowed me to scroll through my subscription much faster than when I have to search for everything. So that's a tip for you. Tag some things like cars and statues and so on. So here I'm creating one of these plazas I talked about earlier, and I wanted to give this plaza a new looking stature. So I placed here the sculpture 54 by the Ping. You will see me placing this statue in a few minutes, and it's a really nice statue. It's very, very huge statue, but I PO'd it and I was able to scale it down so it fitted in the area much nicer than this big statue. And yeah, this episode also is about detailing backyards, and I wanted to save on the prop count, so I didn't went too crazy, but I put a little amount of detailing into the backyard so it looks nice and blends in with all the other stuff here. So I also placed some trees here and yeah, some basic works, washing lines, etc. Now guys, here's one more thing. I had so many problems loading the game, this save game in particular, and yeah, I had to resubscribe to everything because I could not open the game because of too less RAM, and thanks to Aquila Soul I managed to resubscribe to all the assets and yeah, put away the unimportant assets, and so now the game is running again, and yeah, some small gaps are still in between. I don't know what building I missed there, or when I saved the game in between and then didn't subscribe to this, and mainly because when you PO a building or an asset and then you unsubscribe to the asset will not appear in the missing link or in the missing list in the loading screen report. So be aware of this. I highly recommend you to make a separate list of your PO'd props. So when you have the case I did, you don't run the risk to unsubscribe to an PO'd asset, and then you have this gap in your save game when you manage to reload it, and then you are wondering what the hell was there. So make that list. It will save you much time when you have this happen to you. Here we have a complicated angle, and I decided to PO this building to make it fit into this corner perfectly. And you will see me dealing with some ivy and some networks, and it took a little bit of time, but in the end the result is worth of it. But guys, we are coming to the mark where I leave you with some music, so I will join later again and enjoy the music. 1, 2, 3. After detailing the monastery garden, we now place the new town hall of Münster made by Titan. I think it's out on the workshop like 2 weeks when you watch this video, or 1 week. I think it's 1 week. But yeah, it's such a beautiful asset, and once more, Titan, you nailed it. Shout out to you. Now we come to one of my favorite parts, I would say, on this episode. I know I said this like every second scene, but this plaza here, I placed an obelisk fountain by Last Gecko, and around it I went with a little bit more contemporary design of city gardening, with those shifted curbs and planters, and yeah, we have benches here, and also some garbage bins and some younger trees, because I imagine that those planters are very new and maybe there weren't trees before on this place. And yeah, this whole shifted design gives this plaza a nice contemporary touch, which is contrasting to the old buildings and the obelisk on the plaza as well. So that's pretty cool, and I like it. Here we had this city palace of Eisenach, also made by Titan, and I had to demolish it completely because it doesn't fit the area anymore. The reason, in case you're wondering, is that we have the big castle we built in the last live stream directly on the other side of this ring road, and also those buildings I placed from the city palace, they were meant to be like a crosswalk from not crosswalk. Is it called crosswalk? The part of the monastery where the monks meet. You know what I mean. And they were fitting to the old building by Amesto, but not to the updated. And so I had to either rearrange it or rebuild everything, and I decided to do the latter. And yeah, I filled in this place not only by some normal residential buildings, but also by a fire station here, and also a nice cafe at the Oldtown gate here in this section. And the gate is made by Raccoon. Very nice gate. I think it's from Brasov in Romania. And facing the new plaza and the backside of the church, I placed this part of the Hartenfels castle by Titan, and I'd imagine it to be like, yes, maybe a building of it's like a representative building, obviously, and I imagine it's used now maybe by the university, because I want to make the university here in Windeby more decentralized than maybe in other countries and other cities, and I took inspiration here from the city of Heidelberg, where you have buildings from the university everywhere in the city. And so we built this building here with a parking spot for the academic employees on the background as well. And we will place another uni building in this episode as well. So yeah, what's going on here on screen? I placed another little plaza here with some buildings around it, and it's mainly the same thing you already know. I place a mixture of buildings, some Baroque buildings and Renaissance buildings, And the most important thing, in my opinion, to make those old towns realistic is to squeeze everything you like in, because that's exactly what people did back in time as well. They had a weirdly shaped locked, and they wanted to fill in their house, and yeah, they built it. And you have to consider this by recreating those old towns as well. And here is the second uni building I was talking about. It's mainly inspired by the Marstall in Heidelberg, where the cafeteria of the university is inside. And so I decided to name this here as well, Marstall, which means stables. So I'd imagine maybe this building was even before the Baroque castle was built. The royal stables, or the stables where the aristocratics had their horses, and it's typically on the outskirts of the old town, and in Windeby it's on the periphery of the old town as well. And near this plaza we have this nice cafe again, and also inspiration from Heidelberg to separate the restaurants from the main road, from the old town. I placed those curbs here. One more thing I want to mention here is that I wanted to give the old town some new additions. That it's because, I mean, cities develop in time. They don't stick to one epoch or era in general. So you have this Renaissance, Baroque core of the old town. But sometimes there are some modern additions to it. And I wanted to give credits to this phenomenon here by placing this vanilla laboratory from the university. And I linked it to the Marstall, so it's looking like, yeah, maybe the Marstall is the old uni building, and then they built this new university building directly next to it. Maybe there was a plaza here or a little park, and they just took advantage of this space here in town. But guys, I will leave you now with some music again, because I'm talking since like 10 minutes already again. So enjoy the piece, and I will be back after it with some live play. So guys, we are live in-game now at the moment. It's one of my few live plays. We just arrived with our nice red car in the Oldtown on this parking spot we did today. And let's have a look on first person. Oops, we clipped through the wall to this Burberry shop on this nice ivy planted wall. Look at this. This looks amazing. Wow. So what I want to show you, I had a little problem, and you can see this by this. Look, those buildings aren't the ones I placed in the in the time lapse. So yeah, let's explain me to you what I had to do. So in the time lapse you saw me placing the monastery here by Armesto in the wrong direction. You ugly truck, go away. I don't like you in my old town. And yeah, I placed it the wrong direction as usually. So medieval churches had to have their apses. It's called apsis, this roundish part of the church where the altar is, and also the ceremony of the serving. And in medieval time, they faced eastwards nearby every time, because they were facing towards Jerusalem in the east of Europe, in the center of Europe. Jerusalem is most times eastwards. So my apsis, or the apsis of this monastery here, was facing westwards, which is wrong. At least in a building I suppose to be built in like 1500s. Back then, churches faced eastwards. At least that's what I know about. Show me some exceptions of the rule in the comment section. I would love to learn about it, but in my city I want all the old churches facing eastwards. And so I went in and I replaced the monastery in the right direction of the apsis. And since, yeah, this isn't like a NYC city block where everything is squared, you can just rotate the whole block once you did it, I had to figure out new ways to fit in all the buildings, and some buildings stayed, like this corner here, and also this part stayed like this, so I just had to change those buildings here. And I went in and copied those three buildings that were here in the first place, and I placed them here, and the monastery I placed here. So now it looks perfect. And yeah, I mean, some outer detail works were necessary to blend in the buildings here, but I think the result went out, I would say, at least better than that what I had to had before this mistake sprung into my eye. And I also like this nice French building here on the edge, and yeah, it blends in really nice. And I also had to do some retouchings of on the monastery garden. So yeah, we had to figure out a new way how to enter the monastery garden, and then I found this chapel I placed already in the city on this spot here. It's a small chapel, and I placed it here as an entry into the monastery garden, which is nice, decorated with some planters. All the elements I kept from the time-lapse build, but I had to rearrange them in this part of the city block. And then I had this gap here. And usually what I normally would have done, I would have just filled it with another building. But since this monastery is one of the most important buildings in at least this quarter of the city, I decided to keep the visibility of the upper front facade from this plaza here, because when I had placed another building, then this part wouldn't be visible, and I wanted to keep this visible. So I decided to enclose this little back garden of the monastery by placing a wall. And then I searched through my walls and I found this nice new retaining wall by a Titan. And then I just placed two of it in opposite direction to make like this little corridor. And I didn't want to have just like gravel or a paved roof because of the rainfall. And then I placed this, as I mentioned, and I wanted to use the roof of it. It's like a copper rust roof, which is very typical in German cities, especially in Dresden. And when you look at the Zwinger, it's all covered with copper rust roofs. And Titan made this, and I PO'd it and arranged it to fit in this corridor, and even the little crossings, which is fitting the theme of a monastery pretty well. And also this little garden here, and yeah, the result is pretty cool. Maybe we can jump in first person view to give it another look. So when you, like a monk who is who is caring about the roses here in his backyard. So yeah, pretty cool spot here. It's small, but it's pretty cool, I guess. So let's jump into this view, and yeah, guys, all I have to say for now is thank you for watching, and where am I going? Let's find another spot. Thank you for watching, and also make sure you leave a like, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you liked it. You can follow me on Twitter, I'm there as well. And yeah, join the Discord server. You can get in touch with me there if you have some questions, or you can chat with other peoples. And thank you to my Patreons, Simon Karlstein and Niklas. You guys are awesome. In case you want to join the team of the Positiers as well, check out my Patreon page. Link is in the description. Guys, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next episode of Windeby.